The high streets of Britain were once a very different place. Before the advent of the internet and the dominance of online shopping, if you wanted to buy something you had to physically walk out of your front door and journey to the shops to get it. Not as convenient of course, but there was just something special about visiting one of your favourite high street stores and browsing the goods on offer. Many of these favourite high street names have long since disappeared from the shopping landscape, either going into administration, being amalgamated with another business, or just slowly fading away. In today's video we'll take a nostalgic bus ride to the high streets of the past and remember some of the most iconic names in retail. This is Lost Shops We Wish Were Still Around. I couldn't make a video about lost British high street shops without mentioning British Home Stores. BHS was for many years one of the most loved stores in the country, a fixture on the high streets of the UK which we all thought would be around forever. Although BHS was a British company, it was actually founded by a group of American businessmen, with the first store opening in Brixton in 1928. Much like rivals Woolworths, which we will get to later, British Home Stores sold a little bit of everything, with clothes and homeware being their foundation. One thing I always remember about BHS is the great full English breakfasts available in their restaurants. After a number of mergers and buyouts, this giant of British retail finally went into administration in 2016. I used to be a man at C&A, you know. Not in the catalogues or anything like that, of course. I just used to buy a lot of clothes from there back in the 80s. In fact, I may have purchased my very first flecked jacket from C&A.
Come and C&A. It's such a surprising store.
Although a fondly remembered name from the British High Street, C&A was actually founded in the Netherlands as a textile company in 1841. The initials in the company name stand for Clement and August, the first names of the Brenninkmeijer brothers, founders of the company. I prefer to think that C&A stood for Coats and Hats. That's got a much better ring to it. C&A stores first hit the British High Street in 1922 and quickly became one of the most popular fashion retailers in the country. By the end of the 20th century, the chain had over 100 stores across the UK. However, by this time the brand was seen as behind the times and began to lose out to rivals such as Matalan and supermarkets who were now selling clothes too. Although there are now no C&A stores left in Britain, the chain still very much exists in other European countries. Of those who are old enough to remember when Dixons was a fixture on Britain's high streets, there can't be many of us who didn't, at some point, move around in front of the shop window in order to see ourselves on the display TV. Many more would also use the television sets in Dixon's window as an information point to catch up on the football scores on a Saturday afternoon. Beginning life as a photographic studio in 1937, Dixons began to sell photographic equipment in 1950, before eventually expanding into other areas of electronic equipment. As with so many iconic high street names, the demise of Dixons is a story of mergers and takeovers, too complicated to list here.
What would you say to a cheaper week's shopping?
That's fine by me.
Then come to Fine Fare. A 5-pack of Jacob's Club is only 34p.
Fine.
Our Edam cheese will have you smiling at 95p per pound.
Fine.
And 80 Fine Fare Choice Selection tea bags are just 79p. So if you're looking for a cheaper week's shopping, we really think we can help.
That's fine by me. That's fine by me.
Fine Fare, that's fine by me.
Another one of those high street names that always gets mentioned when conversation turns to shops of the past. Supermarket chain Fine Fare opened its first convenience store in Welwyn Garden City in 1951. The first actual Fine Fare supermarket opened in London soon after, Many people will remember the Yellow Pack range launched in 1980, making Fine Fare the very first supermarket to introduce an own brand budget range. In 1986, Fine Fare was sold to the company which would eventually become Summerfield. One of the very first value supermarkets, QuickSave opened its first branch in Rhyl, North Wales in 1959. The initial shops traded under the name Value Foods. The first actual QuickSave opened in Prestatyn in 1965, and the company expanded rapidly from there. QuickSave definitely took the no-frills approach to retail, with basic shop fittings including wooden warehouse-style shelves. However, this allowed the company to sell its goods at great value prices.
If only I had more time.
Extra hands
And bigger savings.
on famous brands.
Now, QuickSave give you more of what you come to QuickSave for.
Top brands are here to stay at QuickSave.
At cut prices.
There's such a lot to save at QuickSave.
At QuickSave, you get top brands and low prices.
And everything's so easy to find.
So it doesn't take long to do your saving at QuickSave. Top brands at
You get it always at QuickSave.
By the mid-90s, QuickSave had over 800 stores across the country and was brought out by rival Summerfield in 1998. Some of the stores continued to trade under the QuickSave name, while others were converted to Summerfield. When European discount supermarket chains such as Aldi, Lidl and Netto arrived in the UK during the 90s, QuickSave began to struggle against this new competition. QuickSave stores had disappeared from the high street by 2008. DIY chain Do It All was never really actually on the high street, as their larger stores were mainly located on out-of-town parks. However, I've included Do It All in this video just so that I can feature this.
How do it all do it? What they do it for? Won't somebody tell? If only we knew it. How do it all do it? You can bet we've been doing it as well.
Do It All are doing Contiplast leather look shelving $229 and Marley super soft flooring from $775. They're doing ring fluorescent light fittings $599 and 50% off polycell double glazing.
If only we knew it. How do it all do it? You can bet we've been doing it as well.
Do It All was founded in 1963 and really hit its stride in the late 70s and early 80s when it was purchased by W.H. Smith. In 1988 it merged with Payless DIY, which was owned by Boots. This meant we had a DIY retail chain owned equally by a stationery retailer and a chemist. In 1998 Focus DIY took over Do It All, leading to the Do It All name disappearing. Another lost retailer which was owned for a while by W.H. Smith was Our Price, one of the most fondly recalled of all record shops. Founded in 1971 and trading under the name The Tape Revolution, Our Price originally concentrated on compact cassettes before adding vinyl to their range. During the 80s, Our Price had grown to become the second largest music retailer in the country, just behind the mighty Woolworths. In 1986, the group was bought by W.H. Smith. However, Our Price was beginning to be overtaken in popularity by HMV, and it seemed the writing was on the wall. The following decade saw various takeovers and mergers occur, including owners W.H. Smith also purchasing Virgin Music stores. The final Our Price store closed in 2003. Think of a major toy retail chain from the past and most people will immediately bring to mind the American company Toys R Us, which opened its first UK store in 1985. However, for a while in Britain there was another popular toy retailer which traded out of large superstore locations, and that was the Jolly Giant. Founded in Glasgow in 1980, the Jolly Giant never had anywhere near the amount of locations of Toys R Us, but still enjoyed huge popularity and success for 20 years. Usually located just outside of town, Jolly Giant stores were like huge warehouses filled with toys and games to delight every child who dragged their parents there. All Jolly Giant stores had closed by 2002. Another long-lost toy shop that holds a place in my heart is Zodiac, mainly because there was a branch located in my hometown and I remember dragging my parents there on most shopping trips. Zodiac was founded in the late 60s by confectionery giant Maynard's, who already owned a number of newsagent outlets. By the 1980s, Zodiac was the biggest toy retailer in Britain, with more than 90 shops located across the country. Unlike Jolly Giant, Zodiac stores were located within town centres, making them a lot more accessible when on the weekly shopping trip. If I remember correctly, most products were much cheaper to buy there too, perfect for any kid looking to part with their pocket money. Zodiac sadly folded in 1990 after being taken over by an entrepreneur who later served time in prison for fraud. Okay, here we go. It's the big one, the most famous, the most loved, the most missed of all defunct retailers. Woolworths, or as it was known for a time, Woolworth. Although founded by F.W. Woolworth in the United States in 1879, Woolworths became a beloved part of British society, perhaps more so than any other retailer. Everybody went to Woolworths. From the legendary Pick and Mix and Chad Valley toys to affordable homeware and music and video, Woolworths had something for everyone, including great fry-ups in the restaurants too. Woolworths was always the first destination at Christmas too. If you had a silver Christmas tree during the 1970s, it's highly likely it came from Woolworth. Then of course, there were the Christmas adverts.
Have a cracking Christmas at Woolworth, cracker of a Christmas shopping spree. Woolworth prices, many of them cracked down on Christmas. Woolworth is the place to be. Have a cracking Christmas at Woolworth, the cracker of a Christmas shopping spree. Crack down prices, is it any wonder at Christmas? Woolworth is the place to be.
During the late 90s and 2000s, the major supermarkets began to sell a lot of the same products that Woolworths stocked, increasing the competition. The rise in digital music also had a devastating effect on Woolworths' business. At the beginning of 2009, every Woolworths store in the country closed, and a way of life for many of us had gone forever. What memories do you have of the shops featured here? Are there any other lost retailers that you wish were still around? Let me know in the comments. As always, thanks for joining me on another nostalgic journey. Your company is much appreciated.